Last week, your one word was the standard. How do you feel your team lived up to that standard you wanted them to measure up to?
I think the week of preparation was done well. Not a lot that we could have changed. There's a lot that was thrown at the guys, a lot of distractions, and it's all things that just are going to take place. Number one, with a short week. Number two, coming off a physical football game. Just where you're trying to get guys healed up and you're having to change practice plans because there's less practices, there's less reps, but there's also not everyone out on the football field, practicing. So I think there was a little bit of limited what we could do, and I think this week's going to be a lot different just based on, obviously a full week of practice, and I feel like we're healthier already yesterday than we were probably Wednesday or Thursday last week. So barring anything crazy or anything coming up here today, I feel good about where we're at, and I think the guys put everything into it. I really do. I mean, I don't think that guys overlook. I know people have asked me the wake-up call and this and that. I mean, it certainly is an alert thing to where it's like, yeah, okay, it's verified that we are going to have people coming at us, and we got to be on top of our game. But to me, a wake-up call gives the tone of we were sleeping, and that's not, I don't think, was the case. And we missed a couple things offensively early that I think could have broke the game open, and all of a sudden now you catch a couple of bad breaks, and like Coach Inge said, they did some nice things early in the game offensively. A couple wrinkles here and there that kept them on the football field and kept us off of it. And the thing is it was a character win for us. It truly was another one, just like the UCLA game, where our guys just fought and they bite, scratch, and claw to find a way to get it done and believe they can get it done. There's no question. When we came in the locker room, there's naturally going to be some frustration, but the frustration wasn't the whole thing wasn't that there was guys in the locker room saying things. Their focus was on how to get it corrected and how to have a great second half and find a way to get a win.
And maybe the answer to this is in what you just shared, but you said after the game, it's a lot better to learn some tough lessons in a win than in a loss. Is there a number one lesson or maybe two that you hope the team does learn from this?
Yeah, I think lessons is a good word to use. There's lessons when you win, there's lessons when you lose, and there's lessons that you learn with all the experiences you go through, life and football, you name it. So I think again, it's just verified, that in college football, and you just look across the top 25, you look across the country at any Division I, FCS, there's games that are closer than they should have been. There's upsets. It didn't go the way they thought. It's such a fine line, and it's a play here, a play there. It's momentum swings, and fortunately, we got a team that I think just has a lot of resiliency, and so. We need to do a better job of taking care of business like we know we can early on and set the tone because I do think that we have a very quality football team. But Coach Grubb said it. We've played a good quarter, a good half here and there on each side of the ball, but there's no question we haven't played a complete game. And I guess it's on me to make sure that we do play a complete game, but I'm also excited about that because that means we have the opportunity to be that much better. And we're going through a process right now that's on a journey right now that I feel great about because the guys' mindset is in the right spot. They got a humble but hungry mindset, and they're not taking days off, and they're coming back to work ready to go every time we get that opportunity. We had a short practice yesterday. We went on the football field yesterday because I didn't want to have a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. And so today's our off day. Naturally, we get into the normal week tomorrow morning. But guys went out there, and it was short, but it was everyone out there doing what they need to do to get better. And we put a goal out there that if every guy can find one thing to make themselves better, that's a day that was well done.
And Jalen Cropper was pretty special the last 3 games last year in terms of production, but he's been unreal, obviously. What's the biggest difference or growth display that you've seen in him between last year and this year?
Well, there's a physical difference. He's gained well over 20 pounds, since a year ago when we played this game. Actually, it's about right at a year right now, even on the calendar. And so, that's the biggest thing. I can think of specifically some runs. I can think of one to the left a couple weeks ago here at home on a fly sweep. I can think of a bubble screen to the right along our sideline, both those against Cal Poly. I can think of plays that he's made, in the 2-minute drive against UCLA, where there's a combination of being bigger, where guys are bouncing off of him, he's falling ahead, keeping balance, and still maintaining some great speed and athleticism and twitch, to where he was able to get out of bounds on some plays and break some tackles that he's always shown he can do, but he's doing it almost every play. The area of, as far as football concerned, from a fundamental, Coach Grubb said, there's room for him to improve, always get better. But man, he's come so far. It's really cool seeing his development as a route runner, and then the ability to go really make the play on the ball. That first touchdown, or the touchdown, I think it was his first one in the left end zone. Inside the 5-yard line there. There's a lot of things happening really fast, from the ball coming in hot to, the sideline, getting close to the sideline to a defender right there, ready to knock the ball out, when it hits his hand. So that happened multiple times. The toe barely getting in bounce on a later touchdown. There's just a real good confidence and calm about him, poise about him, and it comes through working extremely hard. He was, voted one of the hardest workers, or the hardest worker, #1 guy during the winter workouts that we had, and there's a reason why he's having the success he's having.
Coach, you only had 3 weeks to prepare for last season's loss, 34-19. Is it kind of personal? Is there something to prove heading into this game? And how would you assess maybe how your team is better from where you were last year?
Yeah, we're not even the same team. I can't say it's anything personal. I think it's just about us. That's what it's always been. That's what it was last year, as we were trying to get better and get our feet underneath of us and learn our systems and schemes. And, we're making adjustments weekly last week as we installed our defense in particular, as our special teams. We're just a more fundamentally sound team. We're a more confident team because we believe in what we do. We're a team that trusts each other a lot more, and we've been, I think the confidence comes with, what we've been through now in our experiences. And so it's cool to see when you go through hard times, guys come back and be more resilient. And that's a word I've used a couple times today, but that's what we've done. And so I just think last year is last year. Maybe there's a few guys, I heard you asking about Jake, and, that was one of the games he struggled in last year, but he certainly is a different player, and I think that's behind him. And he might answer that question a little bit different. He probably still got in the back of his mind, because it's been talked about a lot during the offseason. But, we're ready to, our job and only goal right now is to just win this football game, find a way to get a win, so we can keep moving forward through the schedule and keep a successful season that we go on, head in the same direction.
Sorry. You've been a part of a handful of these meetings now. How would you assess the rivalry with Hawaii, and how different is it when there's no fans in either stadium?
Yeah, it's probably going to be eerie going back to the same feelings we had a year ago. We've had such electric atmospheres really at every game, so this is going to be considerably different. And that's where we need to have a great week of preparation, because preparation over many years of coaching, preparation breeds confidence, and confidence brings on the energy that is deep. It can't be this fake energy that all of a sudden comes to life, Friday afternoon or Saturday, morning. It's got to be something that is built up throughout the week, because you put in a lot of work, and it was good, solid practices and preparation you have. So we got to, tomorrow morning, have great juice and, point out how important this game is. And I think our guys know that. It is going to be different, it's going to be a lot different. So, last year wasn't a lot of fun without fans, and so it's going to be a little bit of that. But I think where we're at as a football team right now, and what we're playing for each and every week is a huge asset for us going into this football game. Where you got to have that internal fire and that internal motivation and be driven to get it done this Saturday.
Good morning, Coach. Last week's problems, this week's benefit. You mentioned preparation. You had a short week last week, but that also gives you an extra day this week to prepare for Hawaii.
Yep.
You mentioned practice yesterday. What other benefits are there in having a Saturday off and being able to have an extra day to prepare for the Rainbow Warriors?
Yeah, I think it's obviously physical, just having a little bit of time to get off your feet. But I think as much as anything, it's a mental piece. This is 7 weeks we've been going on. Are we going on 8 now? Where it's been football every day except for the off day that we have on Mondays, since we started. And there's been we've gone to the wire in some of those games, and those are hard on you physically and mentally. And, coming off of UCLA and then playing on a short week, I think it was a welcome day off for our guys on Saturday. And everything I've heard, I think they did a great job. Just kind of being low key and enjoying it and watching some college football and being around each other. So today, again, another day for them to do any treatments and rehabbing of those guys that are dinged up, and tomorrow being fresh and as fresh as we've probably been, going into a week and ready to go.
You mentioned watching college football. If you watch college football, you saw Saturday a lot of upsets, a lot of teams in the top 25 lost, helped you move up to number 18. Do you think that target on your back gets bigger the higher you climb up in the rankings?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would definitely say that it is. When I look at us playing a 13 team, that was that was a big deal winning that football game. So I would say it is. But for us, we just have to look at it. I think now we're back into a good groove where there's already less attention. I can just tell you, going through yesterday and today, there's less attention on our guys. There's not as many distractions and things and interviews that they've had to do, to where we're back in a normal routine. And again, not to say, I don't think getting caught up is the way to express it, but just there's obligations that guys had to do a lot of interviews, and it just takes time away from your preparation.
One of those guys is Jake Haener, obviously, and he had another good game on Friday, 5
Yep.
touchdowns. I think former Heisman winner Robert Griffin III named him as one of his 5 Heisman favorites. Have you ever had a player in your coaching career that's generated the number of eyes and attention that Haener has? And how are you going to kind of handle Haener in this Heisman campaign that's kind of early in the woodworks but might develop if he continues to put on more good games?
Yeah, I think those awards are going to continue to come and that recognition is going to continue to come as we go deeper into the season. And I think ultimately it just comes down to, and we've told the whole team this, the notoriety you get, it comes from winning football games. If we don't win the football game on Friday, a lot of the notoriety that guys are getting goes away. And so he is certainly one of the guys that's received as much attention as anyone I've ever coached. So it's exciting because he's bringing a lot of that attention to our football program, and in the end, it affects a lot of things, right? It affects the things that are important as far as bringing new players in with recruiting and all that. So, it comes down to our whole team, though. We just got to keep winning football games.
And last question for me is, everyone talks about games on the islands are different. You coached 2 in 2017, the Hawaii Bowl, and then at Hawaii. What do you remember from those games? And what specifically, besides the long travel to Honolulu and the winds, makes it such a difficult venue to play at? Fans or no fans?
Yeah. I think in 18 it wasn't in the bowl game. It was just different because both teams are traveling, and you have more time there. This is going to be a quick turnaround. We'll leave on Friday. There's a lot of logistical things with COVID. Just having to get into the state, having to even get in the stadium is 2 different processes that we got to go through. We're back to eating meals out of box lunches and things like that when we get over there. So we're not going to spend a lot of time over there because the preparation we can do in our own facilities is much more efficient and much better. And so there's going to be a time change. There's going to be some of those things, but we'll adjust, and I think our team, will be ready to go. And the wind part, I'm aware of that. Again, I thought Coach Grubb nailed it. He said, talked about Jake throwing the ball. I think it mainly affects your kicking game and your field position battle when you have those winds. And we both coached together in the Midwest, and everyone's idea of how windy things are, is all relative, right? So we haven't seen wind yet here since I've been here at Fresno State anywhere. So, but that's all relative, but it is for, guys got to adjust, and when you're going with it and you throw a ball down the field, you got to keep running as a receiver because it's going to keep carrying, and never quit on it, never give up on it. So. But I think it will affect more of the kicking game, and that's where you got to be conscious of those things.
Coach, for you personally as a head coach, could you compare and contrast a little bit of that first game here and what it's been like 12 months later to have a top 25 team compared to what you went through in that opener? Yeah,
I think having been here in 17-18, certainly this being the expectation of where we're at now and where we're going, I had a very clear picture of what this needed to look like because of my previous experiences. And I think that that along with some coaches that are on this staff that were here then, along with coaches that I've known and, have been through some similar, building of a team and how we do it and me coaching with them, I think, it's just been a really cool journey that we're on, and it's going to continue on. There's going to be more highs, there's going to be some lows, there's going to be some adversity, and we just always going to treat that as temporary and move on. And I think that's what I'm most proud of is just I use the words character win, and I think we've had a couple of those. And man, there's nothing more satisfying than when you have guys that you're the talent and seeing them run around and do their thing, it's fun, but there's nothing more pleasing than when you really had to do something special because you had to pull together, and being down 14-0 when probably really most people didn't expect that, and just fighting and clawing your way back into it, and thinking you're over the hump but never quite being able to get there, and then them fighting back and making a play here and there. It was a struggle trying to get things to go our way. I think that game is just something I'm as proud of that game as I am any others, because we found a way. And so we're just going to keep moving forward. And, we got a very talented football team. And more than anything, we got a team of character and a team that believes in each other.
And this Hawaii team, they had some similar challenges of a new staff last year with the pandemic. They don't have the same continuity you guys have. What do you notice about the identity of this team compared to the one you faced last year?
Yeah, it seems to be getting better. You think about watching them against UCLA week 1 for them and where they've come. They're just more consistent. They're more solid, offensively and defensively. You can see, there's more of a team game being played. And this last weekend they found a way to get some score defensively. And offensively, I've been around, seen, the quarterback play long enough to know that he's a playmaker. They come out swinging pretty quickly last week with an explosive play for a touchdown, and we got to be ready. We definitely got to be ready because they got something to prove again, and we know that Coach Graham's going to have a team well coached that's ready to fight, and probably very similar to us. They finished out their season, I think, with a bowl win even last year, right? And I'm sure they're a little disappointed in the momentum that they've had the way it started, but they're getting things back on track. You could see that this last weekend.
Coach, it's been alluded to, but the Heisman hype for Jake Haener has started. So what's your pitch? Why is Jake Haener worthy of the consideration of the Heisman Trophy?
Well, I mean, I think there's the wins, right? You gotta win football games if you're gonna be considered in that realm, on that category. And then he's a leader. He's won football games in big ways. Obviously the stats are something that really draw your attention to what he's accomplished already this year. it is kind of crazy to think how just consistently week in and week out he's been overall. And not just this year. It goes back last year too. And so that just tells you how truly talented he is and how talented of a football team we do have. And, we know we're going to face someone that probably finds a wrinkle here and there that can slow us down that we got to be ready for. But Jake's, man, he just brings it. His preparation and what he puts into it is a big reason for his success, not just the talent and the group around him. So as long as he does that and keeps staying the course with his preparation, the sky is the limit for him, and more great things are going to happen throughout the year.
Coach, you mentioned the wind is going to be affecting special teams probably more than anything. We saw Silva get back in the game, or I guess get on the field in the UNLV game on Friday. So two-part question here. Silva being healthy is going back to being your guy. You weren't here in 2019. He had a huge kick at Hawaii that won the game at the last second. What do you talk to him about this week when he's trying to line up kicks? And, obviously it's not just him, but that whole special teams unit.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think he's a much different kicker than he was that year. He's just so consistent. You just can tell by the way, and it sounds even just since last year. He's just so much stronger and so much more confident. You can tell by the flight of the ball that he's kicking it solid. As far as just the wind, you got to do a good job in pregame, finding your aiming points depending on if you're with or against it, and if it's side wind, and you got to find your aiming points from those distances and just get really comfortable with, how the ball is going to turn or what your distance is. And so, he's in a good groove right now. And so you can't read too much into it. You just got to let those guys do what they do. And when they get there, talk it through with him a little bit, but not overcoach it, because in the end, he's kicked a lot of balls in his career, and at some point he's been through this before. So I actually remember seeing that kick and that win. It was really late. Maybe I DVR'd it. I remember watching the game though, so I was trying to think East Coast time zone and what it is in Hawaii. I'm trying to find that pretty hard to believe that I was staying up that late to watch the game. But I do remember watching the end of the game and seeing how it finished, and it was quite a game for him.
I've got another special teams question for you. You've gone for two a lot this season. I think 3 times against UNLV, unsuccessful in those attempts.
Thanks for reminding
me. With your prolific offense, why do you think you guys have been unsuccessful in going for 2? And does it change your mindset when you get down there again?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change. We are going to be aggressive. I mean, I think that's what it really says is that we're going to be aggressive as a team. I've got a lot of confidence in the offense. I mean, we went for 2 after the first touchdown against UCLA. If we got the right look, we got the look we wanted, and we went for it, and we had guys open. We just didn't convert it. So we just got, I think as you run them more, you're going to get more comfortable in being in those situations. I think the biggest thing with us is we need to do a better job, and this is on me, and we've already discussed it. We've got to do a better job when we score of getting it communicated that we're going for 2 to the team. We know we're going to go for 2 as a coaching staff. They're coming off the field celebrating, especially at home when it's loud. There was just it wasn't as clean as you want it to be, and then you lose the rhythm for going for 2 that you have in a normal play. And so that's something I know we discussed as a staff already, and the offense has discussed that. We got to keep the specialists from running on the football field so we don't have some of that going on, and then execute the plays that we know that we want in that opportunity. But, we got in the second quarter, and it was a go. I mean, it was a go as far as go for 2. In the first quarter, at that spread, it wouldn't have been. And then, there's obviously some, gut instincts you go with that you can override the scale you have that every coach carries on the sideline. But once we got into the third and fourth quarter, they were pretty obvious goes, and now you just fall in line with that because you want to make it either a field goal game or the whole point system spread that that sheet that everyone carries, like I say, the coaches all have. So, I was confident. I really was. I was confident we were going to get that third down, and they did a nice job or that 2-point conversion. They did a nice job stopping it.
So if I may ask, just to follow up on that, how do you better communicate that to the team? Is that something that takes place in practice leading up to the game, or certain scenarios where you tap a couple guys on the shoulder and say, you tell this person?
Yeah, I think it's really honestly starts with Jake, and us getting to Jake, and Jake looking immediately right afterwards, hey, we're going for 2, and then he can get the ball, and I can help with that, getting the ball in the right spot, because we wanted it moved in different hash marks in different spots, not just in the middle. And all of a sudden the clock's winding down on you and some things like that. So it's Jake and my communication with each other, and then to the officials, and then just the rest of it is actually pretty simple. It's just getting it going, getting it communicated.
And I have one last question for you, Coach. You're on the road for a while, factoring in the bye week. Your next home game is not until October 23rd. But when you guys come back, at halftime of that game, Lorenzo Neal's jersey is going to be retired. To have his number up on that press box, what he has meant to Bulldog fans, you always talk about the pride and tradition. Yeah. What does it mean to you to have his jersey retired? And do you have any recollections of him as a player, probably more in the NFL than at Fresno State?
Yeah, my recollections would be of him playing in the NFL. Certainly, and here's the thing with Lorenzo. The last year, probably the last 8 months, 9 months, somewhere in there, have been the time where I've really gotten to know him, and it's been really cool seeing what type of person he is, and I had a pretty good idea of how the Red Wave felt about him and what he all put into this place. But he came and shared with the team, and I think it was right at the beginning of the summer this year, and he stood right here in this very room, and wow, it was a motivating speech that he gave. It wasn't long, for 10 minutes though. He spoke from the heart, and he gave us a recipe for success, that he used, that he used, and that he knew we needed to hear, and a lot of it's the same stuff, but hearing it come from him, a guy who's had so much success, and just the toughness that he brought, I think our team took a lot from it, and it's really cool seeing him get this recognition, get this honor, and having his jersey retired.
Coach, obviously the season's a little bit different than last year. Actually have played in front of fans in every game. This one's going to be different in Hawaii. There's going to be no fans there.
Yep.
Is there a different energy the team needs to bring, or who brings the energy to the team? There's going to be no fans there, so that energy might not be there as far as playing in front of fans like you guys have this whole year.
Yeah, it's got to be all of us. It's got to be the players, and again, like I said earlier, it comes through a great week of preparation, to where the confidence is there, the excitement's there. We're playing for something, It would be really hard if it was the very end of the year and you were having a down season, but we're in the middle of the season and having some success, and so it shouldn't be too hard for us to just because I think we're a driven football team that's pretty motivated as a group to do some big things. So a great week of preparation is ultimately what's going to lead to the energy that I think we need to have to win on Saturday.
Coach, with some slow starts in a few of the games this season, is there a common theme with those games that you can address with the team, or have they all been pretty unique in their own way that it's not maybe a one-size-fits-all fix?
I think this week was one of the first weeks defensively we didn't get off the field right away, and I think from an offensive standpoint, it's literally, the first play of the game, let's say it's this much, overthrown, and it's a touchdown. A couple plays later, we got guys wide open, and there's just a guy falling off a block up front to where a guy's in Jake's face, and a ball might be snapped here to where his eyes are off the target, and so there's just those little. It's the fine line. And that's the thing. Like when those things are, it just tells you got to keep practicing. You know, just got to keep practicing, got to keep getting better, and you know, it's some of those guys that didn't get to practice as much last week to where that's the difference. You know, and you know, that's where you fall just a little bit short, and all of a sudden just a little harder than what we want it to be, and you know, that will help us a lot with getting those fast starts. But you know, Coach Grubb and I talk about it. You know, just getting Jake in a rhythm, and we just felt like there was a couple of guys that were going to definitely be open on this first play of the game, and that a shot was certainly a possibility. But then there was other guys on that progression with that play where we felt if he's not open, Carrick's not open, there's going to be another guy coming wide open too for an explosive play and a first down, and we just missed it. So we'll keep working at it, and that's all you can do. You can't let it get to you. You just keep grinding. You know you got a good football team. You got a great offense. You got a great trigger man, and it'll come. It'll come, and fortunately we've been able to overcome it for the most part, except for the Oregon game. But you know, we keep grinding. We'll get it done. All right. Thank you guys. You guys have a good week. Yep.